Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got a Star Wars The Black Series review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at that Star Wars Black Series Dark Trooper. So these were the troopers that we saw in The Mandalorian, and I have to tell you that this guy looks glorious. But let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging first, and you've got the Star Wars logo right there. There's your display area. Mandalorian Dark Trooper. Over here you've got some cool artwork looking all intimidating. He is the Dark Trooper. Back here you have a nice little bit of artwork, and then you've got a little bit of a bio here, and I'll just leave that there for a second if you want to pause and read. It comes in many languages. And down here, number 28, Star Wars The Mandalorian. You've got your warnings. You've got the sad baby down here. The baby is sad because the Dark Trooper is very scary. Nothing on this side really. Up top, not a lot. Down low, additional information if you care to read it. Alright, so that is it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came with that Dark Trooper, and we're going to start with this little sheet of warnings and get that on out of the way. And then we're just going to focus right here in the middle, and we're going to take a look at this sweet weapon that he's got going on. It kind of looks like a pump-action shotgun. But you know, with Star Wars technology, and I'm sure it's a laser and it goes pew pew instead of blam like a shotgun does. But it looks pretty good. You do have a little splash of paint right there, and then you've got some decent molded in detail there. It's not the fanciest thing in the world, but it gets the job done and it complements the figure really well. So you do have the ability with the alternate hands that we'll take a look at here to have him holding that and then having his hand cupping it right here, which is a really nice look. But yeah, you can see it's okay. I'm not overly excited about it, but it complements the figure well. All right, now moving on, we will take a look at his flames. These are for his rocket boots, and I'm so happy that I have a figure and it has rocket boots. But these flames look pretty good. They just plug in right there on the bottoms of his feet. Unfortunately, you don't have a 3mm port or anything that you can use for a typical flight stand. But if you have the type of flight stand that grabs them right in the waist, then you can totally take advantage of that and have this guy flying through space or through the air, wherever he might be flying. So yeah, these look pretty good. They are identical to each other, so good effects on there. And then coming to the hands. So I have the two fist hands on him right now. These come packaged in the box, and these are the hands that actually come with are pre-installed on him, but I wanted to take them off so we could get some details here. And we'll start with the right hand, and this is his trigger hand, as you can see. So he's at the ready there, ready to squeeze that trigger and take some people out, I guess. And it's a pretty good amount of detail. It's not bad. Now, this little cuff right here, whatever you want to call it, the metatarsal, the thing that protects the top of his hands, I suppose. This is kind of sharp, trying to put it on, take it off. You know, it gets a little pokey. Not enough to actually break the skin, but it is kind of annoying when you're trying to pull the other hands off, put these hands on, or vice versa. This just kind of pokes at you, makes it kind of annoying. But yeah, there you go. You got a trigger hand, and then you've got the holding hand, so you can pump the Star Wars shotgun and also steady it with that left hand. So there you go. Alright, and that is everything that comes with the Dark Trooper except for the Dark Trooper himself. So we'll bring him in and we'll take a look at his details. Well, he may not have the personality, but he's definitely got the looks. This guy is gorgeous. Let's go ahead and bring in that Dark Trooper and take a look at him, and we're going to start right up here with the head. And what a gorgeous head it is. That looks really cool. I like what they've done there with that head sculpt. Those eyes look good. This is very reminiscent to me, for those of you who are old enough to remember, the original Battlestar Galactica Cylons. Just this facial features right here. They just kind of remind me of Cylons a little bit. But yeah, looks good. Got nice detail on the side of the head as well. This guy is super glossy, so if my fingerprints are showing up, I'm sorry. It doesn't take anything to put some fingerprints on this guy just with all that gloss, but he is beautiful. And coming down here to the chest area, he's got a little bit of red going on right there. Got these nice shoulder pads. And then up here you've got some nice ab features going on. I do like what they've done here where you can essentially see through him back there. So he's got those actuators and those pistons. And then coming down to the utility belt. You never know when you're going to need a utility belt, so it's good to provide some to the Dark Troopers. Down here on these legs, nice armor that they put on the legs, and then if you turn that out a little bit, you can see more of that mechanical detail in there. And then nice silver on the knees. You've got nice shin guards and kneecaps right there. I'm sure they would hurt. And then on those feet, good detail as well. Coming around to the side, nice looking all the way up. Some detail right there. Got some panels. Got some larger pockets on your utility belt right here, which is nice. Up underneath, you've got all that going on. Under the arm, you've got good detail as well. So you've got all that, and there's the bicep and upper arm area. Looking good. And then there's the tops of the arms looking good, and then backs of the arms. All right, and then here are those fist hands. Stay focused. So they're just hands that are balled up in a fist. Not really much to talk about there. All right, taking a look at him from the back, he does have that kind of reminiscent stormtrooper kind of style, and that head, just even in the back here. Look at this up here in the neck. Look at that mechanical detail that you've got up there under the helmet as well. So really, really good looking. Down here in the back area, you've got some detail and Dark Trooper butt. And let's go ahead and stand him right there so you can let that soak in. I think he looks good all the way around. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So it is typical Black Series articulation, but I think he pulls it off really well here. So let's go ahead and dive into that articulation, and he has the typical Black Series articulation you've come to expect, but I think he pulls it off really well. So let's start up here with the head. You get about that far up, you get that far down, and then you can get some nice quizzical looks out of this guy, and then you can go the full 360 around on his head, and this head is on a dog bone in there, so you actually get a little bit of forward and back, and then the side to side. So, you know, if you want to pull off the whole "oh no you didn't" kind of thing, you can totally do that. And then you have these shoulder pads. These are articulated right here at these points, kind of get them out of the way for the shoulders. So typically have them down like that, but you can bring them up like that. And then at the shoulders, they will come up that far, and then you can go all the way around with those. And then down here at the elbows, you've got some dual action going on. So that's your main bend area right there, so you can get 90 degrees. And then just right up here, you have your bicep rotation, so you can go all the way around if you want to. Coming on down to the wrist, you have 2 points of rotation. You've got this point right up here, so you can spin it around right there. And then you have the point where the fist or the hand plugs in, and you can do a little bit of a spin right there. Then you've got this joint right in the middle, so you can bring the hand up that far, bring the hand down that far, and pretty good range of motion there. Now coming on down to the waist area. So right up under here, you get your waist rotation, so you can go all the way around. That does not hurt him. He's a droid. He's totally fine. And then you do get some ab crunch, and then just the slightest bit of back bend right there. And then you can rock him side to side if you want to do that as well. It's kind of fun to do. Hey. All right. And coming down to the legs. For the hips, you can, depending on where you have all these guards, you can get a split of about that much out of him. And same thing with the forward kicks and back kicks. If you swing this stuff out of the way, you can get a little bit more of a front kick and a little bit more of a back kick, getting all that stuff out of the way. And then you have your thigh rotation, so you can rotate kind of all the way around, but you're really going to start running into stuff, so that's kind of your max area right there. And then in, same thing before you bump into that. And then coming on down here to the knee, you do get rotation right there just below the knee, so you can, use that in addition to that thigh rotation and have something really freaky going on if you want to. And then at the knee, you get under 90 degrees, but just under, so pretty good range of motion. And hey, he's a droid. It's not like he's going to be doing anything really dynamic. He's just going to stand there and be shooting. And then coming down here to the feet. So the feet have a pretty good range of motion as well. Let me get the leg clear for some contrast. So you can bring the feet down that far, and you can bring the feet up that far. And then you have ankle tilt, which is, dare I say, extreme. So enjoy that. And then you do get a little bit of twist out of that as well. So it's just on that, I don't know if you can really see it, but it's just on that joint right there, so you can kind of spin that around any way you want, because hey, do it if you want to. All right, so articulation I think is pretty well done on this guy. Details look great. So let's go ahead and jump into the accessories now and take a look at this guy all accessorized up. All right, everybody, so here we see the Dark Trooper fully accessorized, and for those of you who have access to a flight stand like this, it really goes a long way, especially with those rocket boots, to get him up in the air and kind of put him in a nice action pose. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I know so many of you out there can pose figures way better than I can, so don't make too much fun of me here. This was just something that I wanted to do to get him up off the surface and kind of give you an idea of what you can do. So you can see he's got the pistol hand, and then he's got the open hand there where he can hold the bottom of the Imperial shotgun or New Order shotgun, whichever it is. And then he's got his rocket boots on, and then of course he does have that shotgun itself in his hand. So I think he looks pretty good here. I really like this figure overall. Just the more I play with him, the more I really enjoy him. So now that we've got the accessories out of the way and you can kind of see some of the things that you can do with him, let's go ahead and get into those comparisons. We'll see how he looks against some other figures out there. For our first point of comparison, I figured I would start off with another Dark Trooper, if you will. This is the black suit RoboCop from the 2014 RoboCop movie. And yeah, they're both black. They both have red eyes or a red visor, so I figured why not? It's as good a place as any to start. But this is a 1/18th scale figure from Hiya Toys. Boy, I tell you what, these two make a really intimidating couple. I would not want to walk down a dark alley at night and see these two waiting for me. That is for sure. So this is the Neca Terminator over here, and you can see how those two figures stack up next to each other. So yeah, this wouldn't be one of my reviews if I didn't find a way to bring a Transformer into it. I figured this is probably the closest thing. You've got a mindless drone doing bad things over here, and a mindless drone doing bad things over here. This is the Decepticon Vehicon from the Transformers Prime universe. And for that final comparison, here we've got some Black Series on Black Series action. This is the Mandalorian in the Mudhorn style, if you will. So he's a little bit dirty and long before he met that Dark Trooper, but you can see how those two Black Series figures stack up. All right, that's going to do it for the comparisons, so I think we better get into those final thoughts before the Dark Trooper decides to squeeze that trigger and bad things happen. So there you have the Star Wars Black Series Dark Trooper as seen on The Mandalorian. I gotta say, I really like this figure. Just telling you right up front, this is definitely one that you're going to want to pick up if you're any kind of a Star Wars fan or a Black Series fan at all. This guy's just all kinds of fun. Let's go ahead and dive into it real quick. We'll start with aesthetics. There's not much to complain about here. He just looks good from every angle. I guess it would have been nice to have a little bit more paint on the chest, maybe on the back, right back here. Other than that, no, he just looks great. I guess if you want to be a little nitpicky, he's almost too shiny because he shows fingerprints really easily. So you're going to find yourself just constantly wiping him down to get the oily residue from your fingers, get those fingerprints off of there. But otherwise, just a gorgeous figure. Articulation is typical Black Series. He's really easy to pose. He holds his poses well. Really, the only thing that I could say is maybe some limitations in those legs as far as the splits, or spreading those legs out with the thigh rotation. But other than that, no, you're going to be able to get him into almost any pose that you want, and he looks good holding it for sure. Moving on to the accessories, yeah, this is kind of a mixed bag. I love the flame effects that you can use the rocket boots on this guy, and the shotgun is pretty cool. I guess it's got that little splash of paint on it. Would have been even better if you could have actually used those flame effects for the blast. I mean, just Tell me that wouldn't have looked really cool. It would. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit of a letdown on the accessories, but having those flame effects and the rocket boots and being able to make it look like this guy's flying is just fantastic. Love it. Moving on to overall quality, he's all good here. I don't really have anything to complain about. His joints aren't too tight, but they're not loose. So it's easy to maneuver this guy around. It's easy to pose him. He holds everything well. The paint looks good. It came with everything that he was supposed to come with. So for the price point, I have no complaints there. Quality is very high, very well done. Getting to the last point, which is overall value, this figure is priced at that next level up for the Black Series. So somehow, some way, he's qualified as a slightly more expensive Black Series figure. So I picked this guy up for $33 US at a local Target. I think that he probably should have been priced closer to that $25 to $28 range. I just don't think he's completely worth that $33. That's not to say you shouldn't pick him up, because you definitely should. I just think that he would have been much more palatable fiscally if he would have been in that $25 to $28 range. But yeah, he's still definitely worth picking up. Would I pay over MSRP for this guy? I would not. But that $33 US is still bearable, if you will. And he looks absolutely fantastic on the shelf. So I have no regrets picking this guy up. So that's going to wrap this review up. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you were entertained. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe and leave some comments if you feel like it. I always love to interact with everyone as often as I can when the schedule permits. And one last request. It would be great if you could share this video or share this channel with those you might know, those who might be interested in this kind of content. So until we see you guys in the next review, take care.